Sports. The Premier League season starts tomorrow. I repeat, it starts tomorrow. Liverpool are about to see their summer spending go past £300 million, with Giovanni Leone set to join. We've got reaction from the Liverpool boss Arne Slot live in just a moment. Jadon Sancho is no longer part of Manchester United's future plans. Will he get a move away from Old Trafford, though? Yoane Wissa wants to leave Brentford as he continues to train away from the first team. And links with Gianluigi Donnarumma to the Premier League continue to grow. Could he replace Ederson at Manchester City? Right, well, we'll hear from Arne Slot live shortly. As you can see alongside me, we've got James Savindra and probably the best-dressed pundit, I'd say, on Good Morning Transfers, Rob Earnshaw.
Stop. OK, carry on.
Mate. I need to speak to your suit maker. Where do you get this array of suits from?
Do you know what?
Quick plug.
Actually, don't. James, of course, always well-dressed. A great array of polo shirts right there. Right, let's talk about Liverpool then while we're waiting for a slot, and start with Gay and this Gay move that there's been a bit of confusion on, hasn't there, really, in the last few hours? Perhaps could he stay? Could he go? Is he actually in talks at the moment with Liverpool? Where do we stand right now then?
Well, one thing we know, Liverpool are still in talks with Crystal Palace to sign Mark Gay. They are the favourites to sign him if he's to go anywhere in this transfer window. Though there is still a chance he will stay at Crystal Palace and leave as a free agent next summer. There has been a gap in valuation. From the Palace perspective, they don't want to let their captain go on the cheap, though they are aware that they probably need to do something this summer, whether it's get him to sign a new contract, which seems unlikely, or there be a conclusion. That's one thing Steve Parrish said on Sunday. There needs to be a contract or a conclusion of some sort. And a conclusion would be selling Mark Gay. But from the Liverpool perspective, they don't want to overpay for a player who they could sign for free next summer. Clearly, there'll be a lot of competition to sign Mark Gay as a free agent next summer. As for the player, he's happy at Crystal Palace. He loves being a Crystal Palace player, and he'll be happy to stay there this season. Crystal Palace are in Europe this season, and there is that World Cup taking place next summer. So the security of minutes at Crystal Palace could be something that he needs right now to ensure he is starting at the World Cup next summer. At the same time, though, if the two clubs could agree a deal and they could agree a fee, then he would be happy to discuss terms. At the same time, we've got multiple big clubs in the Premier League and in Europe watching on with interest, thinking if we can get him as a free agent next summer, that would be an incredible bit of business.
Yeah. Right, Rob. So if you're in the Liverpool think tank right now and you've got to prepare for the future in terms of your centre-backs, do you fork out £35 to £40 million right now to get Gay, or do you wait to the summer and try and get him on a free?
The danger is if you wait longer than 6 months, you are now in competition with a lot more other teams. Right now, for some reason, I don't know why, maybe there is some discussion, but I would imagine he is a sought-after defender. I think he's brilliant. I think he's so good, Gay. I think of a lot of players that are kind of on, I guess, in line to move on from their club, he is at the top. For me, if I'm Liverpool, I go all out right now, get him, secure him. The problem with the player is you're going to think, OK, Konate is there, Van Dijk is going to play. Absolutely. Konate is there, very well liked, very, very well improved, much improved. But it is a World Cup year, and you go to Liverpool, that's a big, big move. And sometimes you've just got to secure it and bet on yourself. But for me, if Liverpool need to get him, I'm more surprised that there's not other clubs, for example, the Manchester Uniteds, you know, maybe even the Man Cities, the Arsenal. Why those discussions are not? Because if he's got a year left, means you can discuss right now. You can start kind of negotiating right now for a way lower price than what he's actually valuable. He's valued at way more than what you'll get him for.
Well,
so I think that's
turned down 70 million a few times, didn't they, from Newcastle last year? So he's halved in value.
That's what I mean. So the longer you go towards the end of your contract, the less really the club can demand for you. So I think you get him at a great price, whatever it is. If it's under 40 million or even 40 million, for me, I'm paying it. I'm bringing him in, securing him, because I think he's one that you look at and think the next few years, we like him and he's going to take us forward. And I think he actually improves Liverpool. So I think for me, take him, get him right now, because I think he's just so good. I think he just adds so much defensive kind of value in terms of, he's so good at reading the game, how he moves, his defending, his speed, his analysing of the game. I think he's very intelligent in how he moves, how he defends. That's what Liverpool needs. And if Liverpool are going to go to that next level, because the signings now have to take you to the next level, the Champions League, targeting that, I think he's one that they should bring in.
And they want numbers, don't they, Liverpool? Because they've already signed in that position. They've just agreed a deal to sign the young centre-back Giovanni Leone. Just fill us in on the details and why he was so sought after.
Yeah, the deal is worth £26 million plus add-ons. He's been granted permission to travel to the UK and sign personal terms and have a medical. That medical is expected today. Now, this signing is seen as independent of the pursuit of Mark Gay. Liverpool want to sign both of these players in this transfer window. And subject to, I guess, when we looked at his market value and you look at what he did last season at Parma, you thought maybe this is a player for the future. But it's our understanding that he'll immediately join the first team setup for the new season. And any thought of a loan move, that has been completely ruled out. In terms of his profile, he's only played 17 matches in Serie A, only started 14 matches there. But he ranks very highly compared to other players in that age category. So players who are 18 or younger across the big 5 leagues in Europe in terms of aerial duels, interceptions and headed clearances. So he's very much a player for the future, but I think Liverpool have been really impressed by what he's done in Serie A already, given limited game time. Let's bear in mind, Sampdoria got €5 million from him, for him from Parma last summer. He's already rocketed up in value because of what he did last season. Very much a player for the future. You wouldn't expect him to get a huge number of Premier League minutes, but Liverpool are in 4 competitions. They want to give him some opportunities. And you think giving him 2 years with Virgil van Dijk, that's what Virgil van Dijk has got left on this new contract. 2 years of Van Dijk. Just how much could he learn from playing with Van Dijk, being mentored by Van Dijk? You think it makes a huge amount of sense for Liverpool, because there has been competition from clubs in the Premier League and across Europe as well in trying to sign Giovanni Leone, but he's on his way to Merseyside. Yeah, and the fact that he won't go out on loan is very telling, isn't it? If he goes straight into the first team squad, that shows you what they think of him. We've got to talk about Alexander Isak as well, of course. Whenever we talk about Liverpool now, we talk about the Isak situation. Just as an ex-player, nothing's really changed in the last few days, apart from the fact that he has said he will never play for Newcastle again, which is quite a significant development. As an ex-player, how do you think he's handled this whole thing?
I think it's been poorly handled, to be honest with you, because let's look at it. Newcastle, very likeable club, good club. Isak, likeable player, I think brilliant. And this last year, I think he's gone to right in that top category of world-class forwards. The situation, poorly handled. You could have had the discussions. For me, sometimes the best thing, and this is from experience also, you make mistakes, discussions, you say things in the heat of the moment within the club. There was no need to say that you'll not play for the club again. You can have the discussion with the manager, and, when they're in the office, and being in the office lots of times with managers, you can have an honest discussion. It doesn't have to be a fallout. And I think the problem right now is it's been a fallout rather than a discussion, because you can have tough conversations. And in the manager's office, there's tough conversations that need to be had. That is one of them about Isak. Of course, he's tempted to Liverpool. Of course, Newcastle don't want to sell him. But Newcastle can say, well, listen, we don't want to sell you unless it's the right price. Isak, I think he could have handled it better. But at the same time, he's got a right, because if Liverpool want him, and maybe that's one of his dream moves, he's got a right to say, listen, coach, I would like to move. I would like to go. Can you let me? And they say, well, I'm sorry, it's going to be 150 million. And he thinks, I'm sorry, it's too much.
Right, we're going to have to cut you off, I'm afraid, Rob, because let's listen in to Arne Slot.
It seems that you might be able to bring 2 in. First of all, Giovanni Leone, what can you tell us?
That the clubs have agreed a deal, but he hasn't signed for us yet. So the moment when he signs for us, I can go into more detail. And the other one is, of course, the answer you always get from me.
Are you able to talk about that a little bit more broadly, though, and say what expectation you have of possibly getting hold of Mark Gay?
No. No, because he's not our player. And unfortunately, he was the captain of the team where we lost against last Sunday. So, no, if you want to have any talks about him, you should go to Palace, to Glasner, and ask him his opinion about him.
Well, obviously the focus is on the start of your title defence now. So how ready do you feel you and the squad are now going into the start of the season?
As ready as we can be. So I think I've emphasised last week on the fact that we've lost 3 or 4 starters, and unfortunately Ryan Gravenberg was not able to play last week and is not able to play this week. So that means that if you exclude the goalkeeper from the 10 outfield positions, 5 were different than the main starters we had last season. And if you then look the quality we bring on the ball, I'm very happy with that. Without the ball, it's 8 out of 10 times, also very good. But the aim at this club is not 8 out of 10 times, it's 10 out of 10 times. And that is the fine-tuning we still need to find defensively. And that went in pre-season one time better than the other one. Up against Bilbao, I was really pleased with our defensive performance, because we didn't give away any chance at all, I think, out of open play. But we did concede 2 set pieces. Against Palace, we conceded, the main chances we conceded were when we lost the ball ourselves. So it's been ups and downs, where the downs were not so low, but I think there is the main part for us still to improve, which is normal. I think for everyone in pre-season, it's normal that there's still room for improvement, let alone if we not only lost 3 or 4 starters, I think we've lost 5 to 6 players that played quite a lot of minutes for us last season, and we brought in 4 new ones. So then it's normal that there's a little bit of adaptations, but we are definitely ready for the league to start.
And taking all that into account, given what you achieved last season and how difficult it is to go back to back with Premier League titles, what are your expectations for the season?
Yeah, but the reason why that is so difficult lays mainly in the fact that there are so many competitors that can also win the league over here. So to win it once is already very special, let alone if you can win it twice in 3, 4, 5 years, or as we did twice in 5 years, and City did even better than us in the last few years. So that's unbelievable if you're able to do this in this league. And probably this year it's going to be harder than every year before, because every team brings in new players, but our main competitors definitely did as well.
Thank you.
Arne, in that regard, obviously this time last year you had a huge challenge ahead of you with coming to a new league, starting at a new club, replacing Jurgen Klopp, everything that went with it. Is this season, in your mind, even personally for you, an even bigger challenge than this time last year?
No, you forget to mention that you take over a team and you only have 2 weeks to prepare, because there was a Euros and a Copa America. I think every season has its own challenges. So last season it were the challenges you were just talking about. This season the challenge is that we've lost many starters, and we tried to bring in, or not try, we've brought in very good and talented players again as well. And the challenge is always not only yourself but also the teams you face. Now we're starting with Bournemouth, which was last season probably the most intense team in the league. And I mean in terms of running, and also in the playing style, but that goes hand in hand. And then afterwards is Newcastle and Arsenal, so that sums up this league, I think, and the challenge we have.
What do you expect from Bournemouth on Friday?
What I just said, intense. They made it really difficult for us last season. We beat them 3-0, where you feel like, what is he talking about difficult? But if you look at the game, they had the first big chance of the game. They scored a goal, which was fractionally offside. And then we 3 times, I wouldn't say counter-attacked them, but we were very fast in moving the ball from back to forward. And all of a sudden at halftime we were 3-0 up. And then I thought, which I always thought when I was playing manager in Holland, this is going to be 4-5, 6-0. But the mentality Bournemouth showed in the second half, they just kept on going. And that's the mentality they had throughout the whole season afterwards as well. So they also lost some players. They also brought in good new ones, as they've shown in the last few years, that they can always bring in good new players. So, and away it was even more difficult for us. So, very good team, good manager, and a challenge for us on Friday. But looking forward to it, because play an evening game at Anfield is something everyone is looking forward to, I think.
Hi there, Arne. Your defensive record last season was absolutely incredible. In the pre-season so far, I know you haven't been particularly happy with some elements of it. How do you resolve those issues when you're looking for that defensive solidity in front of your back four, when you're going to be without again the best defensive midfielder in the country?
Yeah, and don't forget we missed out McAllister as well, the last part of last season, and he hardly wasn't able to play in our pre-season. Only now recently he's played a few games, played a few minutes. But it's not that I'm not happy about certain parts. I'm telling you just a second ago that the standard here is 10 out of 10. So it's not one or two things we don't do well. No, in general we do all well, but well is not good enough. And there we have to go one step up in certain aspects, not in all aspects, in certain aspects. And then there's also something like I said, against Bilbao, we were really good defensively, but conceded 2 set pieces. And the games before, we also had mixed teams. So then you can also accept a little bit better that maybe timings between players were not as good as when you play the starters that has played so many times together. So there are reasons for it, like I just said, mixed teams, new players coming in, Virgil being sick against Bilbao, Alisson not being there, Maka being injured, Ryan not able to play, and new players brought in. But all of this is definitely not an excuse when we start the league Friday, because we will 100% be ready on Friday.